Hey guys, so in lieu of this awesome new program that is super focused on nutrition, it doesn't really have a fitness component, which is super unique. I just wanted to share my story with food because I know that we've all kind of struggled with that. It's hard to go through society and just never have any sort of negative emotions tied to food, whether that's eating when you're bored, eating when you're tired or stressed, emotional eating, or eating disorders, maybe, um, or maybe having some sort of ailment that is tied to nutrition. Um, but I just real quick wanted to kind of go over my personal relationship with food and why I am so passionate about this new program that's nutrition focused. So, just to dive right in, I was raised by a mother who some would say is a health nut. I think it's silly to call people that are health focused nuts because that's how everyone should be. But I definitely didn't view it that way when I was little. My mom would make almond milk from scratch because I had a dairy allergy. I still do. And she would make bread from scratch when I was a little baby because I would just get sick easily, and that was her way of like controlling what I ate. But that was really awesome because I grew up very healthy. And when I was two, actually, I was at a party. My uncle offered me a piece of candy, and I had no idea what it was. Like, I was this 2 year old little girl, just eating like all these healthy DIY foods from my mom, and I had never been exposed to candy, I guess. So I like grabbed the candy from my uncle and gave it to my mom and like asked her what it was. So that's pretty funny. But that kind of like restriction towards junk foods and sweets later on in my life kind of took a turn, I guess. Like at home, we never had any type of like soda or like mac and cheese or, Pop Tarts or all those like classic American foods, which are junk food and they're not good for you. But for some reason, as a kid, I really wanted them because I would see my friends in kindergarten eating those and they would make fun of me for like my alfalfa sprout sandwich. And I never realized it was weird until they pointed that out. So I became like really self-conscious of like my lunches and would like try to trade things with the kids. So I guess there was like some self-esteem there tied to like I wasn't eating like the cool foods. I don't know. That sounds silly, but it was a thing. But yeah, so when I was 8, actually, I started having a lot of digestive issues, mainly with going number 2. Um, and I landed in the ER for like extreme constipation. And it was kind of a wake up call um, because like me and my family never thought that I was eating unhealthy, but apparently I wasn't eating enough fiber. And my mom signed me up with a nutritionist in Mexico, and he kind of like removed all these foods from my diet. Removed all dairy, removed a lot of starches, certain fruits as well, and the diet was meant for me to start eliminating more. So I was pooping like 3 times a day. Sorry if that's TMI, but at a very young age, I realized how much of an impact like what I put in my mouth has on the organs in my body, and that you can eat in a way that heals your body, and that no disease or most diseases thankfully can be maybe like halted or reversed sometimes through diet. I think that's just so powerful that food can be your medicine. So that really got me like interested in food and like eating healthy. And when I was, let's see, I think middle school, I started wanting to go vegetarian, and just because I made the connection of like dead animals on my plate, don't want to be a part of that. And I did go vegetarian in high school. Finally, my parents let me after I did extensive research, but I didn't know how to do it right. I was I had just removed meat, but I didn't know that, I should be eating more beans. So, I was in cross country at the time and just felt so tired constantly. And I thought it was because I was running a lot. But looking back on that, it was probably because I was not getting enough calories. Um, and then, that continued on. And throughout high school, I was under a lot of stress. I would tend to turn to food and binge eat and then feel really guilty. Nothing, disordered type, but just like whenever I felt any sort of negative emotion, I would always turn to food, always. And it was like my parents would kind of comment on and be like, hey, you should probably like not eat a whole bag of potato chips in one sitting. But since I was skinny, no one was really that concerned about it, which I thought was interesting because it's like skinny people can have health issues too. Um, so around the time I was a junior in high school, I had developed this esophagus disorder where I couldn't really eat food, and I lost 20 pounds in a month without trying because I just like, actually it was 20 pounds like over a couple months, but I was just like, I literally couldn't swallow food. It would come up, I would have to regurgitate, and it was really hard because I couldn't go to restaurants with my friends or my family. And you realize how much like of a social tie there is with food. Um, and I actually got slightly depressed during those times because I loved food so much and I couldn't eat it. Thankfully, like I found a gastrointestinal doctor who diagnosed me and I was operated on. Now I'm like 90% cured from that. Sometimes I get symptoms that flare up, but thankfully nothing too dire. But yeah, I just have always kind of had this emotional tie with food. And in my past, since I did have extreme constipation and then the esophagus disorder, there's like a little bit of fear with me in food. Like if I eat too fast sometimes, my esophagus is not happy. And then if I don't get enough fiber, my digestive system isn't happy. So there's just, I feel like I'm kind of walking on thin ice sometimes with my nutrition. Nothing to the point of like disordered eating, thankfully, but it feels overwhelming because there's so much information there about nutrition and it's hard to sort out what's what, especially being vegan. Um, you know, I think the plant-based diet is the way to go, but it can be hard, like, because a lot of the nutrition information out there is geared towards omnivores, so it's kind of hard to translate that to vegans. Thankfully, it's a very growing movement, but yeah, just wanted to share my story. I know this is getting kind of long, so I'm going to cut it off, but I'm really excited about this program, and maybe some of that resonated with you. Maybe you have other food hangups, but I would love to hear it because I know that most of us struggle with food because it's just hard not to. But thanks for watching.